Chair lays out HB 2844 and recognizes Chairman Landgraf to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to lay out House Bill 2844. This bill seeks to reduce permitting burdens on food trucks, particularly for those operating in multiple cities or across multiple counties. Under current law, if a food truck wants to serve customers in two different communities or two different jurisdictions, it has to go through two separate permitting processes, one for each of those different jurisdictions. So that means that twice the paperwork, twice the inspections, twice the costs, and of course, it could be much more than that in many cases. And if that food truck operator wants to expand into even more communities, obviously those costs stack up as well. The problem gets even worse in major metropolitan areas where there are more jurisdictions at play. These regulations are putting unnecessary pressure on small business owners, making it more difficult for them to grow and offer their services for more Texans. House Bill 2844, as filed, aims to fix that by creating a single statewide license for food trucks. But Madam Chair, I do want to make a very important note that we are working on a much narrower committee substitute that we actually have, but unfortunately did not receive it in time to lay it out for the committee today. But the committee sub would focus solely on the health licensing side of the issue and those provisions that are in the bill that I am laying out today. So I understand that there are probably some witnesses who are going to testify about some of the preemption issues with regard to time, place, and manner restrictions. My intention is not to preempt municipal or county regulations of that, so I just want to be very clear because there probably will be some questions about that. Really, if you're looking at the bill that I'm laying out, the part that I do want to keep are the provisions that are related to having a single license to make sure that there is a uniform standard across the state for health and safety for the patrons of these food trucks. So I just want to make that note that before I ask the committee to vote anything out with regard to 2844, it would be with some of those changes in mind. Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, we have a few witnesses.
Great. Thank you.
Chair calls Marcel Elizondo. We have you registered as Marcel Elizondo, representing Texas Environmental Health Association and yourself, and you are testifying against House Bill 2844.
Correct.
You
Thank
may
you,
proceed.
Madam Chair, council members. My name is Marcel Elizondo, and I serve as an executive board member of the Texas Environmental Health Association. I'm here today representing the dedicated professionals in local health departments across the entire state who are responsible for protecting public health through the inspection of the rapidly growing industry of mobile food vendors. I'm here to express opposition to House Bill 2844. This bill proposes removing the requirement for mobile food vending establishments to obtain permits from local jurisdiction and instead shifts that function to the state. While we recognize the intent to streamline regulation, this bill would significantly undermine the ability of local health professionals to effectively regulate mobile food vendors. Eliminating local jurisdictional authority would also result in an inefficient oversight model, particularly given the likely staffing challenges at the state level. Local health departments serve as the first point of contact for small business owners. We would lose that ability to provide timely consultations, inspections, and support despite being most familiar with local ordinances. I would also note that legislation passed by Chairman Cabriglione last session granted Dallas and Tarrant counties the authority to issue a countywide mobile food permit. He has legislation that was heard last week in Intergovernmental Affairs, House Bill 1449, that would expand that bill to all large counties in Texas. House Bill 2844 removes oversight tools from local health authorities without providing a viable or adequately resourced alternative. I respectfully urge this committee to reconsider the bill's potential impacts on public health and work with local governments to find solutions while preserving the local safeguards that protect all Texans.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Chair calls Blaine Rasmussen. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
All
Yes.
right, we have you registered as Blaine Rasmussen, representing On the Hook Fish and Chips, and you're testifying for House Bill 2844.
That is correct.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I'm the vice president of On the Hook Fish and Chips, a food truck company operating 19 trucks across 26 states, including Connecticut and Illinois. We employ over 150 people and have 10 regional headquarters. We're well-versed in licensing requirements when it comes to food trucks, but no state presents a greater challenge than Texas. We currently spend over $21,000 a year on business licenses in Texas alone. One of our 3 full-time scheduling employees is almost completely tied up with managing Texas permits. And despite our resources and track record, there are many cities in Texas where we still can't serve. Some cities are outright hostile towards food truck operators. Many times our licensing department will work with the city for weeks, only to be shut down at the last minute by code enforcement over obscure technicalities. For instance, a phone number on the side of the truck being a 1/4 inch too small. Many cities require burdensome zoning procedures that no host properties that we like to partner with have been able to successfully complete. If you compare this to states like Florida, Utah, and Tennessee, where we've been able to operate with ease, these states have food trucks operate under a single reciprocal permit. These states have run their system this way for years, and it works, with clear, consistent rules that support both health standards and small businesses. House Bill 2844 would help fix these problems. It would streamline Texas's regulatory landscape for food truck operators, aligning it with proven models like Florida, Utah, and Tennessee, places that protect public health without punishing entrepreneurs. Like others, we want to expand our business in Texas. We have a franchise program, but we have declined to offer our franchises in Texas because we know it would not be worth the time of a new entrepreneur to navigate the process here. We need clear regulations that recognize and support the mobility of food trucks. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Chair calls Samuel Hooper. We have you registered as Samuel Hooper, representing the Institute for Justice and yourself, testifying for House Bill 2844.
Yes, that's correct.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Samuel Hooper. I'm Legislative Counsel at the Institute for Justice. We're a non-profit law firm that focuses on issues of economic liberty, and we are very strongly in support of this bill. IJ takes particular interest in this issue because we litigate cases defending food trucks from unreasonable bureaucratic overreach by city governments all the time. We've won cases in El Paso, in San Antonio, and in South Padre Island, just to name some of our most recent ones. And having a single statewide license is going to be enormously beneficial. It's going to get rid of this mishmash of overlapping contradictory requirements that food trucks currently have to navigate. Just having a single statewide license is going to be enormously beneficial. There are some concerns, as there always are with issues like this, about preemption. And we see the same thing with housing, for example. Oh, why are we trying to take the power of local municipalities away? Local control is very important for truly local issues, but as the bill sponsor correctly identified, mobile food trucks tend to operate across municipal boundaries, and then it's very important for them to face a standardized regulatory regime rather than having to adapt to slightly different circumstances on the ground in different places. So that would be enormously beneficial. I understand that there's a committee substitute that's going to narrow the focus of the bill, and really the single statewide license is the biggest piece, and that on its own is going to be enormously beneficial. So we're very strongly supportive, based on our experience litigating these cases, defending food trucks from what is unfortunately often blatantly protectionist behavior by local cities. So we're very strongly supportive. I'm happy to take any questions the committee might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair calls Shane Linkos. Shane Linkos. All right, we'll show Shane registered representing the State Office of Administrative Hearings, neutral on the House Bill 2844, did not testify. Sarah Lewis. We have you registered as Sarah Lewis, representing the Food Truck League, DFW, and yourself, testifying for House Bill 2844.
Yes, ma'am.
You may proceed.
Good evening, esteemed committee members. My name is Sarah Lewis, and I am a food truck event coordinator for the Food Truck League, DFW. Our business matches the best food trucks with clients to create unique events. In my role, I've organized dozens of food truck events and worked closely with many food truck owners, witnessing firsthand how the current patchwork of city and county regulations stifles vendors' growth and opportunities. Because of my experience organizing vendors, I strongly support this bill to streamline food truck regulations. Right now, food trucks in Texas must obtain separate permits for every city they operate in, each with its own fees, paperwork, and timing for approvals. This is difficult for both cities and for trucks. We've had instances where we couldn't organize food truck events in certain cities because their truck regulations were too complicated and time-consuming. Sometimes fantastic food trucks can't go to certain communities because of a lack of time or funds to get the required permits. The status quo is crushing small businesses. I've seen food trucks forced to close because they can't afford the cumulative costs of multiple permits, which can quickly add up to thousands of dollars a year. In contrast, states like Utah and Georgia have passed similar reforms to House Bill 2844, resulting in vibrant food truck industries. HB 2844 would create similar opportunities here in Texas. My company was involved in getting the Food Truck Freedom Bill passed in Utah, and we've seen incredible growth in food truck entrepreneurship since its passing. By simplifying regulations, this bill would open doors for trucks in major metro areas like Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, while empowering rural trucks to access bigger markets. Smaller and rural communities would also gain greater access to diverse food options if trucks could actually travel to them, as trucks are designed to do, which would enrich local economies and culture. This bill is a win for small businesses, innovation, and communities across Texas. I urge you to support it and give our Texas food trucks the freedom to flourish. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. Chair calls Monica Juneau. Monica Juneau. We'll show Monica Juneau, registered representing If Jesus Made Quesadillas, in favor of House Bill 2844 and did not testify. Jamie Coffey. All right. We'll show Jamie Coffey, registered representing If Jesus Made Quesadillas and self, for House Bill 2844 did not testify. Gerardo Garcia. We have you registered as Gerardo Garcia, representing Chero's Latin Kitchen and Self, and you are for House Bill 2844.
Correct.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Gerardo Garcia, and we are the owners of Cherolet Kitchen. We are a Salvadoran family-run food business operating as a mobile food vendor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I'm here today to voice my strong support for House Bill 2844 because as a small business owner, we've experienced the excessive challenges that mobile food vendors face under the current system. Running a food truck or trailer should be about serving great food, offering great customer service, and growing a business. But instead, it often feels like the biggest job is navigating through the red tape for the current system. Things that we face while acquiring these permits in every city and every county has its own permitting purposes and rules. Multiple health permits, redundant inspections, stacked fees, and some cities require commissary kitchens with different specific standards. Others require in-person application costing us time and business. The system is expensive, unpredictable, and some permits are really slow, can take weeks or even months to acquire. Inconsistent, conflicting rules around parking, inspections, and operations. This House Bill 2844 would create a statewide standardized system, simplifying the process and eliminating duplication. Let vendors like us focus on feeding our communities and growing the business. It's about fairness, opportunity, and economic growth. And I urge all of you to support House Bill 2844 and help mobile food vendors thrive. And at Chetos, the word Cheto means friend in Salvadorian slang. And I'm here asking you to be a Cheto, a friend to small business today. And any of you are ever in the DFW area, I know of a Pusa place. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Chair calls Brett Silva. Brett Silva. We'll show Brett Silva, registered on behalf of Food Truck and Self for House Bill 2844, did not testify. Chloe Beck. We have you registered as Chloe Beck on behalf of State Office of Administrative Hearings, neutral on the bill.
Yes, ma'am.
You may proceed.
I'm here as a resource from the State Office of Administrative Hearings, and I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have. We also just wanted to point out in the bill, there are a couple of timelines for the SOA contested case process. We're the agency that conducts those hearings for the Department of State Health Services. I believe there's a 14-day deadline and a 7-day deadline contemplated in the bill in an expedited form. And we would just suggest considering extending that maybe to 17 days to match the Board of Nursing statute for their suspension. It just tends to be a bit more feasible to get those hearings done within that time capacity. The APA actually requires 10-day notice be provided to a party to these cases. So to provide that notice and then be able to hold the hearing within 7 days just might not be possible. So that would just be one note, and we're happy to help anybody make suggestions for that language.
I believe Representative McQueenie has a question.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chairman. Your agency would play specifically what role? Is it issuing this permit or just if there is a complaint about a truck?
It's the back end, so it would be any enforcement actions, the revocation and the suspensions, and the administrative penalties.
And you feel that your agency is capable of handling that without issue?
I believe we put a bit of the cost onto the fiscal note, but it would be pretty nominal depending on the volume of the caseload. I believe we said one ALJ would be required to meet the statewide demand for these enforcement actions.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madison Gessner. We have you registered as Madison Gessner on behalf of the Texas Restaurant Association, and you are testifying on House Bill 2844.
Yes, ma'am.
Go
Thank you. Hi, I will be brief. I'm sure I'm the last of many, but the TRA represents the state's $137.8 billion food service industry, which encompasses about 57,000 food and beverage establishments across the state, and we employ 1.5 million Texans. And many of these locations and members are food trucks. We are respectfully testifying on House Bill 2844 today. We support Chair Landgraf's goal to consolidate food truck licensing and inspections so that small businesses do not have to navigate different rules in different locations. However, we do have some concerns about unintended consequences with a few of the provisions in the version of the bill you have before you today. For example, we've asked that the requirements for employees to get their food handler or food manager certifications be consistent across food trucks and restaurants as they are today. Secondly, we also think it's important to go back to current law in terms of the way that the Texas Department of State Health Services conducts and reports health inspections today. This is a complicated yet transparent process that is working well today for food trucks and restaurants, and importantly, going back to the current law on this bill does not undermine the goal of Chair Landgraf's bill. After discussing these concerns with his office, we think we're going to be able to address them in a future version of the bill, which is why we're neutral today. We're very grateful to Chair Landgraf and his staff for the positive conversations we've had so far, and we look forward to working with them to get to a good resolution on House Bill 2844.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2844? Seeing none, the chair recognizes Chairman Landgraf to close on House Bill 2844.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Really appreciate this, and I do appreciate the testimony. Hopefully some of you, hopefully you did as well. Let me just address a couple of things from the SOA witness. That 17-day period that she mentioned sounds very reasonable to me, and I'm happy to work to make that change so that it's consistent with some of the other timelines that SOA has to work with. Also very happy to work with some of the other stakeholders, including the brick and mortar restaurants, to make sure that we do have some uniform standards there. What we're really looking for is to have this one permit that has a uniform health and safety standard for the entire state of Texas, so that we don't have to stack all of those permits depending on where the mobile food truck is operating. I think it was great to hear from these operators who are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into building their businesses, and if they just have one uniform standard to meet that still protects the health and safety of their customers, then I think that's a win for everybody. So as I said, we do have a committee substitute that looks like we might have even one more tweak, but the bill that is laid out that does include most of those provisions is something that I would like for you and the rest of the committee to favorably consider at the appropriate time. And unless there are any questions, I'll close.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no objection, House Bill 2844 will be left pending. Is there objection? The chair hears none. House Bill 2844 is left pending.
Chair lays out House Bill 2844, recognizes Senate sponsor Senator Colcourse to explain the bill. Do understand there's a committee substitute. Senator Colcourse sends up a committee substitute. Chair lays out the committee substitute for House Bill 2844, recognizes its sponsor, Senator Colcourse, to explain the differences between the bill and the sub.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we file bills or carry bills, we usually give them nicknames, and this is the Food Truck Freedom, along with my Food Freedom Movement bills that I file. So, members, House Bill 2844 creates a uniform statewide licensing system for mobile food vendors to ensure consistency across the state. With this license, a mobile food vendor can operate in any municipality, county, or other political subdivision, so long as they maintain compliance with any applicable state and local time and place regulation. This bill authorizes the Department of State Health Services or a local authority contracted with the department to conduct standardized health inspections for mobile food vendors. The bill also assigns food safety risk clarifications to distinct types of vendors. The bill clarifies penalties and emergency suspensions of mobile food vendor operations should a vendor not maintain compliance with the law. The committee substitute adds language from House Bill 5459 to define a small-scale food business as a legal entity established by a farmer or food processor with less than $1.5 million in annual gross revenue. This addition to the bill prohibits a county or municipality or public health district from requiring a small-scale food business or an employee of a small-scale food business to obtain a permit or pay a permitting fee to operate a food service establishment, temporary food service establishment, retail food establishment, temporary retail food establishment, or retail food store at a location for which the business holds a permit issued by the department. And lastly, committee substitute to House Bill 2844 authorizes the department to set and charge fees as the department deems necessary to perform its duties and administer its duties as designated by the bill. This is a bill that was drafted by Representative Landgraf and co-authored with Representative Raymond in the House.
Any questions, members? Chair opens up actually, let's go ahead. Senator Colcourse moves the adoption of committee substitute for House Bill 2844. Is there objection? Hearing none, committee substitute is adopted. Chair opens up public testimony on House Bill 2844. Call Scott Jeanson, Aaron Talaferro, Judith McGarry, Donald Mears, and Samuel Hopper. Scott Jensen, Aaron Talaferro, Judith McGarry. Everybody still here? Judith's not. I don't think Judith's here. Is Sam Hopper on the panel? Okay, so I think I'm down to Sarah Lewis. Come on up, Sarah Lewis. All right. State your name, who you're with, position on the bill in 2 minutes. We'll start with you, sir, and move that way.
Thank you, Chair Corkhorst, members of the committee. My name is Samuel Hooper. I'm Legislative Counsel at the Institute for Justice. We're a non-profit civil liberties law firm that focuses on issues of economic liberty. I've been on a long, delicious food odyssey through Texas while working and campaigning for this bill. And what I hear consistently from food truck entrepreneurs is stories of opportunities foregone and growth plans abandoned because of the duplicative permitting rules that currently exist, where food truck entrepreneurs have to get the same inspection, the same license in every single town where they want to operate. And that can become hugely expensive while doing nothing to add additionally to public safety. So we think that by creating a single statewide permit for food trucks, it'll be an enormous boon for economic liberty, and also for the entrepreneurs and those with less access to capital, the kind of people that generally like to create and run food truck operations. So currently these burdens, as I said, they fall on first-time entrepreneurs, people with less access to capital. IJ has done a lot of work representing food trucks in litigation and through legislative advocacy work. We did a report in 2021, Food Truck Truth, and that found that mobile food vendors are some of the most over-regulated food businesses in the entire state. And that's not because they're unsafe, but because they're politically vulnerable. They often they're not able to advocate for themselves in the same way as some larger organizations. House Bill 2844 fixes this. So by creating the single statewide permit with consistent and standard safety standards, it still lets cities regulate what they need to regulate in terms of trash, noise, park access, and so on. This isn't about eliminating local authority. It's about ending arbitrary restrictions that block safe and lawful businesses from serving their communities. We've seen similar legislation pass in Utah, in Tennessee, and most recently this session in Oklahoma as well. So Texas will be joining a good group of pro-economic liberty movements by adopting this legislation. I'm very happy to answer any questions that the committee may have. Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Madam Chair, thank you, members. My name is Aaron Tolliver. I'm here to speak on the bill. I represent Tarrant County. So Tarrant County has been the beneficiary of a pilot program authorized by the 88th session, whereby the County Public Health Department inspects and permits mobile food truck operators. Once we do that, those food truck operators can operate anywhere in the county according to standards that our Public Health Department operates under according to statewide standards. So then, a mobile food truck vendor can go from South Lake to Arlington to the city of Fort Worth to Lake Worth, and anywhere they go, because the county permitted them and inspected them, they're good to go. Likewise, the city of Fort Worth has their own public health department. If the city of Fort Worth inspects and issues a license to a mobile food truck operator, they can operate anywhere in the county. That was authorized by the last session under a pilot program. Tarrant County was the beneficiary of that pilot. So I want to bring the committee's attention to a bill that's in Senate Local Government tomorrow, House Bill 1449, by Representative Capriglione, that expands that pilot program to all counties over 1 million people. So under the pilot program, one countywide permit, according to state standards, food truck operators can operate anywhere in the county. Public health is maintained. Entrepreneurship and innovation is encouraged, rather than a state takeover. So if this bill were to pass in its current form, it would eliminate the pilot program created by the last session. So I'd ask the committee to take into consideration House Bill 1449, and if there's a carrot to be offered, then let the carrot be offered through the pilot program. But if you don't want to take the carrot, perhaps the local government can take the stick of a statewide mandate, but let's offer carrots and sticks to local government as opposed to just sticks. I don't disagree with the gentleman's complaints here to my right. He's not wrong, I understand them. But I think in Tarrant County, we've shown a better way based upon legislation passed last session. Thank you, members. Happy to answer any questions.
Good evening. My name is Scott Johnson. I'm a member of the Legislative Committee for the Texas Environmental Health Association, and I'm here to speak against House Bill 2488. The comments made by my colleague to my right are spot on. House Bill 1449, which is a cleanup bill from the previous session of 2878, which was passed in the Tarrant County, Fort Worth area, really glues together and signifies exactly, I think, what is trying to be done here. No one at the Texas Environmental Health Association is arguing the fact that food truck owners should have to pay multiple permits. We believe that that's not acceptable as well. However, by having the state sort of come in and take over all of this, we're looking at a lot of unintended consequences. Right now, the state has approximately 45 inspectors to handle 12,000 food truck inspections, in addition to the fixed establishment inspections that they already do. Having counties and the state, as what is being proposed in 1449, would at least have somewhere in the neighborhood of, say, 500 or so inspectors statewide to handle this. The current bill as proposed could also leave open some issues related to things that are found on routine inspections that may not be, because those food trucks may not be inspected as normal. Many times in the past, we have found foods that have had illegal additives. We've found red dye number 3. We have found other items that are called whiteners that will make foods that have been oxidized appear not oxidized. These are things that people aren't aware that they're consuming, and if routine inspections aren't being performed, they're not going to be found. Additionally, food trucks tend to be gathering places. Many jurisdictions get complaints about food trucks opening up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and having hundreds of people converge there. Street racing occurs, fights, loud music, noise, all types of things like that. The state will not be able to respond in an appropriate amount of time, whereas the county officials will, and will be able to prevent this. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Go ahead, sir.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Todd Mears, and I am here on behalf of the Texas Environmental Health Association, which represents environmental health professionals working in food safety programs across rural, small town, suburban, and urban Texas communities. Texas is a really big state. We appreciate the bill author's intent to simplify and standardize mobile food vendor regulations. However, TEHA, or Texas Environmental Health Association, must respectively oppose the engrossed version of House Bill 2844, as it would shift responsibility for food safety oversight to the state without practical infrastructure to sustain it. Under current law, local health departments, many of which operate with registered sanitarians and environmental health specialists, conduct regular inspections, those field inspections that he was talking about there, and so important. They respond to complaints within hours and ensure compliance based on the risk unique to their jurisdictions. In contrast, the Department of State Health Services performs routine inspections of mobile food vendors, but not at the frequency that would provide good widespread representation across the state of Texas. This bill would make the state solely responsible for license enforcement, while local governments are left investigating complaints and monitoring vendors without sufficient authority or resources. Additionally, the bill limits essential public health tools, such as no longer requiring mobile food vendor to operate with adequate commissary or essential preparation support facilities, which provide access to sanitation and food storage infrastructure. These are just basic safeguards, not barriers, that prevent foodborne illness and ensure sanitary operations. TEHA is concerned that this well-intended legislation will unintentionally weaken the food safety net that protects millions of Texans and worldwide visitors to our state and special events. We ask that any statewide framework continue to respect
Sir, you gotta wrap it up.
power
We're
local
on
health
strict
department
two.
programs,
Last sentence.
which are best positioned to rapidly ensure food safety in the committees that they serve. Thank you for your time.
There you go. All right, ma'am, on the end. Go ahead.
Hi. Good evening, esteemed committee members. Good evening. My name is Sarah Lewis, and I'm a food truck event coordinator for the Food Truck League DFW. I work with over 100 food trucks in the DFW area, and unfortunately, the legislation passed last session had some very negative impacts for trucks in the DFW area, in the Houston area. The Tarrant County permit is $600 right now, and the Dallas County permit is $1,300. Most food trucks cannot afford both. They must pick one or the other. If you live in the middle, you have to pick. And the trucks in the surrounding counties, the rural trucks, it's the same for them too. Many trucks, they don't even bother going to public events. They only do private events. So the other bill that allows for it to apply to counties over 1 million, it's a good bill. This is the gold standard. It would change trucks' lives. It's hard to underestimate how much this bill would change people's lives for the cost to come down to where it only is tied to the actual administrative cost. It would change their lives. I know trucks who spend $4,000 to $6,000 a year on permits in DFW. In order to afford that, they must sell tens of thousands of dollars worth of food, and they have not paid for the cost of the food or the labor or the gas. And most food truck owners come from low-income backgrounds. This is a great bill. It will protect public health. It will protect public safety. It doesn't affect zoning. And I encourage you to support it. It would change people's lives.
Madam Chair, I have a question just for you, and if you don't know them. So I'm trying to get my head around it. Why isn't there just a state standard for food vendors that you could allow to get the state seal and then let the locals do their enforcement as any public health food? I mean, why do we need all these different county standards? You just have the one and then let the counties get paid to go out and enforce and stuff with fines and penalties for actions. So is every county unique in their food safety
Yes.
programs? Every state. So,
Yes.
so it's the
Often
way they
with
justify the
redundant.
existence.
I
So
think that's kind of the goal here, it allows,
that's what I'm hearing.
the bill allows the state to contract with the local authorities to do the
So
inspection.
I guess the question would be is how come some food safer, what makes a distinction of food safer in Tarrant County if they're operating under the same public health safety standards in Abilene, Texas? It just makes sense, a state standard, and then if they go out and inspect them on a normal, everyday, like they do brick and mortar at the local level, there's fines and penalties assessed. I don't.
I agree. Mr. Chairman, what I was going to ask, food margin is tiny, right? And it gets tinier the more food costs right now, right? When food prices go down, that's when you can hold your margin. People are used to paying a certain, you can hold it for a little while and then you adjust down. The consumer, dictates your prices. If your price is too high, nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to come to your food truck, right? So the concern about the fees in, especially in a Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you look in my district, if you're living in Washington County, you're going to probably do a whole lot of events in Brazos County and Harris County, Fort Bend County. You're going to, so if you start to look at, I have to have a permit in every one of those counties because I'm going to those festivals, it adds up to $4,000 or $6,000, $8,000 a year. It's pretty tough.
Many people go out of business because of this.
Well, I will just say this, guys. Y'all allowed me to pass, we passed to the governor, Senate Bill 541, which was the cottage food industry bill. I've been working on this issue for about 14 years, ever since I was in the House. And I did a little post on it last night, and just organically, people literally said, you're changing our lives. And it allows a lot of people the extra income that they can do on the weekends, but also, one lady wrote on my Facebook last night where there was that cap, and if I digress for just a second, it was at 50,000. That was an arbitrary number that I chose 14 years ago. And she said, you raised the cap to 150,000, and she said, my son and I were both in the business, and we couldn't live on sharing that $50,000 because that was gross, right? And she said, now we're going to both be able to build our business. And, you know, the ultimate goal would be if you're a great food vendor in a truck, one day you're in brick and mortar, right? These are incubators. These are literally incubators, right? So anyway,
Senator Hall.
we'll work on this. I get y'all's conflict with $14.99, and I know both the authors of these bills, and so we'll.
Senator Hall.
Okay. Now, I think you have a great point there, Senator. We don't have county driver's licenses. We don't have county tags on cars. And this is not a brick and mortar facility. This is something that's mobile. So maybe, you know, something that it's a state license that is subject to county inspections, county oversight, or a policy that you get a license in one county. It's good to operate in any county. But something for something like this, and what we currently have, doesn't make sense. It's not. Granted, it was a pilot program to see how it worked, and I think we take what's learned from it. But a compromise there, where you get a license, either a state license is issued, and then the inspections and enforcement is done at the end, just like, you know, local police pulling you over for driving too fast, but you have a state license on your car. Or you have a policy that you have a standard for what it takes to get a license. You get it in one county, and it's good in any county.
Well, there's no difference in this and the fair. In Lubbock, Texas, you have all these nonprofit vendors, and every one of them all week long get health inspectors, food and safety inspectors all week. If you're going to have an event, you got 5 food trucks there. If you want to go inspect them, and if you can find problems, shut them down or fine them. But, I mean, it's not that hard. It's just like another restaurant. It just happens to be on wheels. With that, any questions for the panel? Guys, thank you guys for hanging in here all day.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Sam.
All right, Chair calls up Elisa Tamayo, T-A-M-A-Y-O, Tamayo. Eliza, or Lisa. Calling one more time. Chairs. Anyone else? Oh, absolutely. Anyone else wish to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2844? Public testimony is closed.